Welcome to Citizen McCain. If you're listening to this podcast and you want to join Zoom, you can register at tway.tv/Meghan. I know you're probably wondering, who are these people? Well, Meghan McCain is still out on maternity leave with her little baby boy, and Miranda had an emergency. So I am your guest host, Ryan Girdusky. I'm the founder of the 1776 Project, and I have a podcast called A Numbers Game on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. And our special guest for today is Yemisi Egbewole. Did I pronounce your name correctly? I know I misspelled. I know I mispronounced.
Egbewole. Egbewole. You
Egbewole.
had it.
I'm
You
so
had it. You
sorry.
had it.
I'm literally terrible at pronunciations. But Yemisi is a great guest. She's the former chief of staff to President Biden's White House press office, and now a political consultant and commentator. You can get her on TikTok, Instagram, or at Yemisi on X. Thank you for being here, and thank you for let's going full into this chaos.
Yeah.
Um, so our first topic today is Second Lady Usha Vance is pregnant and expecting her fourth baby, a boy. She hinted during her interview with Meghan. Play clip one. Do we have clip one?
Three gorgeous kids. I just met your little daughter. She was walking to go get some craft. She's beautiful. Eight, what are their ages? You tell me.
They are 8, 5, and 3.
Okay. Three kids.
Mhm.
Very exciting. Did you guys always want to have I wouldn't say big family, but as three children? When did you decide to have kids? And how important it was having children to your marriage?
Well, we decided I don't think we would have gotten married if we didn't both know that we were going to have kids because we were both independently very interested in it. So that was never in question. By the time we were married, we knew we were going to have kids. The number, though, that was in question. I grew up with just two kids in my family, and JD has a differently structured family, but he primarily grew up with just his sister. I think what we had decided at the outset is we'll have two, and then we'll see how we feel after that. And I thought maybe I would have two kids, and I would think, I'm done, this is good. But I just liked having the two kids so much that I think I ended up being the driver for three, which really surprised both of us. And now we're at three, and I think I'm feeling pretty good about this. And sometimes he thinks he might like to have a fourth, but we'll see where that leads.
Do you think it's still open?
Never say never.
Sure.
We do really love having our three kids, but I'm also really enjoying that they're at an age now where they're a little bit more self-sufficient. They play together as this little pack, and we're kind of past the baby phase.
So the Vances will be outnumbered 2-1 in their household, and she is the first second lady, I believe, to be pregnant, and the first person in the White House to be pregnant since Jackie Kennedy, if sources on Twitter are correct, which they never really are. Yeah, Missy, do you have any thoughts?
Well, I rewatched that episode because I saw Meghan posted it. She was like in light of the news, and I find Usha so in an administration that I think swirls a lot on chaos. I think she is such a steady ship for JD and also just for the image as a whole. Even her speaking about JD's family, do you notice the language she uses? She says differently structured. Like, what a very
Yeah.
gracious way to talk about the kind of raucous bringing that he had in the relationship with his mother. And I think she just operates from a really great place of just diplomacy. And I'm excited to see pregnant woman like leading the White House. I think it's fantastic. And Caroline Levitt, of course, is pregnant at the same time. I think it's
And there's
great.
someone
Like,
else who's pregnant, I think, too. I think there's three in the White House who are pregnant
oh
at the
my
same
gosh,
time. Yeah, I
babies,
mentioned
babies,
it. Yeah,
babies. Yes,
I
but you can
know.
you can have babies and you can do really hard that you can do tough jobs at the top of American diplomacy. I think it's great messaging overall.
Yeah, so you've been on campaigns like I have, and I actually worked for JD's 2022 Senate race. And on election day, on the general election day, nerves were very high, as they always are. Whether you think you're going to win or lose, you're just there's no level of anxiety quite
Mm.
like at election day when the polls have closed and you're just waiting for results. And Usha was calm, cool, and collected, and totally held together the entire time, no matter how chaotic. Because Ohio got called kind of late, like Pennsylvania was already in and Florida was already in, and like we were just like, how's it looking? Precinct by precinct, county by county, and she was just like, we're fine, like everything's fine, everyone stay
Mhm.
remain calm. And that's kind of the personality that she has. She's very much a very steady, what's the word, like anchor I think,
Yes. Yeah.
and she's just, I think she's great. So this is very exciting. Our second topic today is Don Lemon versus Nicki Minaj. There was a Twitter spat between the former CNN host and the rap star, rap icon, really. And they got into a spat over Don Lemon's attendance at a with an anti-ICE rally at a church service in St. Paul, Minneapolis. The anti-ICE protesters interrupted a Sunday service, protesting the pastor who they believed was an agent of ICE, or one of the pastors of the service was an agent of ICE, and it is kind of blown up. Do you have any reactions over first what Nicki Minaj said to him? She used some spicy language about Don Lemon and his sexual proclivities. I'll just sit there and say that.
Yeah, they had a good back and forth. But the thing is, Nicki Minaj is not a politician and she's not a journalist. So she's going to speak the way the way that Trini gal is used to speaking. So
Yeah.
I was not surprised whatsoever at the hits that she took. Don Lemon, it kind of had to do with his sexuality and identity. And I mean, if you're going to come for Nicki, you have to be ready for her to hit really below the belt. And I think Don Lemon was a bit put off, and he was saying, that's vile and things like that. But I mean, this is like rap battle Barbie.
Yeah.
You wouldn't get into a fight with Nicki, and I certainly wouldn't get into a fight with the Barbs, because Nicki is one thing. That fan base is another thing. I say to all Dems as she's going down this path, avoid Nicki slander whatsoever, because all it's going to do is pull you down a whole other path that you're not ready to go down, because it's Nicki plus all of the Barbs. And I think Don Lemon right now needs to focus on the DOJ.
Yeah,
Not
and
Nicki
I mean,
Minaj.
Nicki has a tremendous gay fan base too.
Yeah.
So like I mean, I don't know. I mean, it depends how much they love her, but I don't think they even would bat an eye that she would say that, because I think that they do love her.
Yeah.
The ones that I know love her. And it's really interesting because do you remember I mean, you might not recall this, but Don Lemon used to go on Wendy Williams' show a lot, and he
Mhm.
would say, I want to be like a talk show host. I think that this really gives him more cultural currency to be intermingling with celebrities, getting into celebrity feuds. Anderson Cooper is not getting into celebrity feuds. You know what I mean? Like, this is not,
Right,
you're
right.
past a news anchor's perspective on certain things.
Yeah, and I think we all are finding this lane, especially with this church situation, which we can talk to as a separate thing too. What is the role of a lot of these journalists? Because we're in an era where, what is it? Jim Acosta now has a Substack channel. Joy Reid has one. Like, all of these people who were traditional anchors on big networks. Terry Moran, what is it? ABC he left. I mean, they're
Mhm.
all on Substack now, and they're not doing boots on the ground journalism like Don Lemon has. He really has blown up in that way, but we might see that roll out more. And so,
Well, we are, but we're seeing on both the left and the right. That's a really good aspect
yeah.
because, yeah, you have Jim Acosta, you have Meghan Kelly, you have
And Tucker Carlson,
Tucker
right? Yeah.
Carlson. You really have people from this network, from these industries that are built, as traditional news is not as big as it once was, and also it doesn't pay like it used to pay. If you've amassed millions of people, I mean, I've heard numbers that Bill O'Reilly makes, and I don't know if they're true or not, but they're in the millions and millions of dollars because he kept that list of like the O'Reilly Factor Club or whatever it was,
Mhm.
like that mug club, and you can build a small empire, and this really has become like a pool to sit there and break out independently if that's what you want to do. Because very few people have been staying in. I mean, Rachel Maddow does, and there's like Sean Hannity does, but very few stay in corporate media for decades and decades.
Right. Or can even afford to, right? Like, we know with CBS, Gayle King, that's a hefty paycheck, and media just doesn't pay like that anymore. So I think we'll see
Right.
more people move over to this side that is more streamer, internet platform based. However, we've got to talk about the rules of engagement here. I mean,
Yeah.
Laura Ingraham was on the ground in Minnesota for Fox for the Ingraham angle. I
Mhm.
watched that.
I
There are
did
rules
too.
of engagement that you have as the Fox Corporation, right? You got a
Mhm.
team of lawyers, you got legal. They're saying you can go here, stop here. When people got too much in her face, that cameraman said, "We're out of here." What are the rules of engagement for people like Don Lemon?
Right, right. Well, let's go into the rules of engagement and DOJ investigation. Former CNN host Don Lemon, now an independent journalist, live streamed from the protest and reported from inside or alongside the demonstrators. I don't know if he was inside the church. I don't think that he was from what I saw, but
But he
maybe.
he went inside the church.
Oh, he did go inside the church.
He
Okay.
he interviewed the pastor inside the church.
Oh, got it. Yes, that's what he
Yeah.
did. But I didn't see him with the protesters inside the church. But he went inside the church, I guess, during or after. The DOJ says it opened an investigation into the disruption to the church services, and federal officials have suggested that those involved, including the reporters linked to the protests, might face federal charges. Lemon says that he was covering the protest and it was cast unfairly as a participant, insisting he was reporting on the First Amendment story and not leading it. Lemon responded just by to Nicki Minaj. But let's go into why it matters to it, Don Lemon. So the law, which is a 1993 Ted Kennedy law, is called the FACE Act, where basically you cannot interrupt someone's First Amendment rights, which is their right to religiously assemble. And this is, an offense to a religious assembly. Do you have, as a Democrat, do you have an opinion of how this looks to maybe religious people who are just trying to pray? Because there were children obviously in the room. There were also it was a fairly mixed denomination there. I saw some Asians and some Latinos inside the church as well. Do you have any opinions of how that looks as a Democrat?
Yeah, I would say for Dems, what I'm hearing is everyone can agree with the protests that are happening in Minnesota, in the communities during the daytime. This situation has actually put people on different sides of where does the line stop. For
Hmm.
me, as someone who lives in Washington, D.C., there's a protest I see outside of a church every single Sunday in the Eastern Market neighborhood. And that is the protest that is outside of where Pete Hegseth goes to church. People have been
Mm.
outside of his church every single Sunday. His pastor said some controversial things tied to Christian nationalism. So that's where they show up. The rules are you don't go inside. And none of the protesters have ever attempted to go inside. So that part right there of the standing outside and making your voice known and the crossing inside and disrupting a service, that is where people differ. And I've heard from Dems who are like, well, if an ICE agent goes into a church and pulls somebody out, then it's the same equal footing. Um, the pastor wasn't there. The
Right. The
pastor
pastor
that
protesting, yes.
caused all of this was not even inside the church. So ultimately, I think the question of any protest is what is the goal?
Hmm.
A lot of that a lot of that goal and a lot of that messaging could have been accomplished standing right outside within your right. And I say this mostly too for risk assessment and self-preservation, because now all the protesters that were with Don Lemon in that moment are also being investigated, and they do not have Don Lemon money. Hello, Hampton's house. They do not have his status. They do not have his powerful friends. I've already seen some of the identities revealed. One of them is on a school board. That is their job. That job is now at risk. So I also think it has to be about how you protest, because what's happening in Minnesota will not happen forever, and you still have to live your life, and you want to be able to continue to protest in a way that remains impactful.
Yeah, that's such a great point because I mean, like, there's so many people think that social media is like not just a mouthpiece or speaker box, but also like a veil of invincibility. Because 99 times out of 10, there's no consequences for what you write on Facebook. If you say like, I hated this chicken sandwich from this restaurant, it's not going to lead to anything. But do you remember that guy who went to Chick-fil-A during the anti-Chick-fil-A stuff and he like berated like this young girl, like vocally berated her and was like, how dare you? You work for a
Mhm.
disgusting company. And she was very polite. He lost his job. I don't think he worked for years after that. Or was that one CEO who made that joke about, was it AIDS or was it sickle cell anemia or something like that? And she went on a plane and she got off the plane like, for 3 hours later and
Right.
her
She had
job.
no internet and she got off the plane, and all of Twitter had just
Right, and
eviscerated
her
her.
job was
Yeah.
also like you're not
Yeah.
invincible for everything that you write. And so yeah, Don Lemon has a lot of money. I'm sure he could fight and litigate. He's also a big target because he's a public person, but he can probably litigate things away and it can go away. Other people may lose their house. And I want to talk for a second about the actual protest. In the late 80s, there was a lot of protests about the AIDS epidemic. And in 1989 in New York City, AIDS activists went into St. Peter's Cathedral in New York City, protested, smeared blood all over themselves, or fake blood, I guess, over themselves, and had like a die-in inside the church. And there was mounting, especially among Democrats, especially among hot button communities that had been affected, like in New York City, among the AIDS crisis. There had been growing movement to get something locally done, some funding done, something, whatever. And a lot of it was lost. The head of ACT UP, which was an AIDS
Mhm.
advocacy group, they said you've hurt our cause. Mayor Ed Cox protested them. It was such a step back from a community that was really seeing momentum growing in one pocket of the country, because all of a sudden you're not going to look good making children cry. Like, you're just not. I don't know who thinks that that's the truth or not. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, and talking about that, I mean, the AIDS crisis, let's talk about the way that they engage in different kinds of protests. The quilt that went that they created, that they laid out, when they went right up to the White House gates and they took the ashes of those who had died and they threw it on the North Lawn.
Hmm.
There are moments where you can get right up to that line, but you have to be ready for when you cross it. And
And
when
do
they,
it powerfully, and do a
yeah,
powerful
yeah.
imagery of it. Yes,
And
100%. I totally agree with you.
And I would say to those people who watch the, because I mean, somebody texted me and they said, "Girl, Don Lemon is live streaming and it's getting spicy." So I clicked onto that live stream. So I watched it in the moment. Couldn't tell you what was really happening. I couldn't tell you
Right.
what the purpose was. You had one guy that was this older white bearded man that was screaming at young people in the church, calling them white supremacists, telling them that they were the reason Renee Good died. So you had that messaging. Another black woman that had been leading the protest, talking about this is not what Christianity stands for. Then you had Don Lemon that was interviewing a pastor that's just looking at everything happening and not even giving direct answers. And in the background of that, you had mothers ushering their children out the back door of the church. I mean, it just, I don't think it was giving what they
Yeah,
wanted
there
it
was
to
no,
give.
you were like, why is Don Lemon in the middle of this insane Yeah, it's not a good look, and it gives where it definitely puts certain people obviously in crosshairs of federal investigations, and it obviously makes them, the coherent message is a question. Do you know who David Shore is? He's a progressive
Yeah.
pollster. I think he's very, very smart. He
Mm-hmm.
actually polled a bunch of Democrats based upon like what is the correct comment to give about ICE and whatever. And I actually said AOC's polled the highest, which is your Medicaid funding was cut for to go to ICE. And that was actually the most, I guess, the highest among independents, Republicans, and Democrats. And this is definitely not that message. There's no
Yeah.
coherence whatsoever. Let's go to our third topic, which is Michelle Obama did call her daddy. Play 15, the teaser clip.
Obama, welcome to Call Her Daddy.
Thank you for having me.
I'm going to quote you. You said, "It is the habit of the culture of the world to put women in their place by attacking their physical being."
The top of the article would be she was wearing, not my education, not my professional career, but it started with appearance. It was clear that, oh my God, you don't know anything about what I did before I came here. I went to Princeton and Harvard. I mean, I practiced law. I was an assistant to the mayor in Chicago. I ran a nonprofit. That quickly, my shoes become the most important thing about me. We have to think a lot more to strike that balance and to be thoughtful about what messages we're sending, giving, receiving. Men don't do that. As we're being ambitious women, when you get the power, when you're the boss, when you're running your own thing, let's just not become female versions of the thing that was broken. Are you building the world that you told your little girl existed?
You said, "Don't even look at me about running because you all are lying. You're not ready for a woman. You're not."
There are men out there that were not going to vote for a woman. Let's just be real about it and let's put that on the table and talk about, well, what's that about? Let's not be mad because I made the statement. The young women that we're talking to, keep climbing. We need you, and know that you may come up short, but keep going.
Oh my gosh, there's so much to talk about here. Okay,
Yeah.
let's talk about the appearance part first of all. Can I just
Mm-hmm.
sit there and say, I'm a man and I'm a Republican, but she got glowing praises almost every time for her appearance. She was not ridiculed very often. I mean, most of the time they would talk about how glamorous she was, they compared her a lot to Jackie Kennedy, all these wonderful designers across the world sat there to give her free clothes, and she was on the cover of Vogue magazine. She looked like she was enjoying it, and now she looks like she's complaining about something she enjoyed. You have a different opinion?
I think I think a majority of what you're saying is totally on the spot. She enjoyed it. I mean, to be a Democratic lawmaker, to be a first lady that's a Dem, you're going to get the Vogue treatment, you're going to get the Vanity Fair treatment the right way. You're going to get front covers, and designers are going to be clamoring to dress you. In the moment, it can feel great. I wonder if some of this is stemming from when you are in those beautiful positions where everybody's heaping praise on you, the 5% that's negative, the little bit where people make those small critiques about you, if that's the part that is louder than everything else that she experienced. So I wonder about that. If maybe there were moments of criticism and those to her ring more loud than, I mean, getting dressed by some of the top designers in the world.
Yeah, I mean, you're a wealthy lady who was the first lady who was friends with Ellen, who everyone heaped immense amount of praise
When we
on.
all liked Ellen.
Right, when we all liked
We
Ellen. I
all
mean,
liked
but like,
Ellen.
yeah, that's a good caveat. You hung out with Beyonce. Stop whining. Like, just stop whining to a certain degree. Like, you have and then you built a multi-million-dollar company out of that where you're gardening and you're doing other things. And she looks like, by the way, I think she's enjoying her life.
Yeah.
Their daughters look normal. Like, they're not, going on Playboy or something like that. They don't have OnlyFans. They don't look like drug. They look like solid girls who are, have a clear, coherent head. They are very attractive young women. You have a great life. Like, you should talk about like winning and not just complaining. But the other part that I kind of well, the other thing about her not running, what I don't think that she's willing to be honest about, which kind of drives me crazy, she hates politics. It is very
Mhm.
well aware that she hates politics. She's always hated politics. She didn't like Obama running. She liked Barack running. She um she does. She could just sit there and say, I don't like politics. I don't enjoy this. Don't say the country's not ready. Say, and that's why I'm not running. You're not running because you don't want to be president, which granted, it's not a job for everybody. A lot of people wouldn't want that kind of scrutiny. Do you have an opinion on that?
So first, I think when she's talking to the Call Her Daddy audience, right, she's talking to an audience that's mostly women. And so I think she's trying to be relatable in a way too when she's telling them, when she's talking about, I too have been in these really professional settings and felt like no matter what I say, the headline of the article is going to be where are Michelle Obama's new pumps from or something like that. And I mean, in Washington, D.C., like even on that, I don't even know if people know, but the Senate and the House floor, women can't have their shoulders out. Like they can't show their shoulders. So there's all these like restrictive rules that maybe she kind of chafed against. But when it comes to when she said, I don't know if a woman can win, I agreed with that.
Oh, I agree with that
Yeah,
too.
I
I
was
don't
like, I'm
disagree
glad
with
that you
that.
just said it out loud. She didn't couch it at anything. She just like, why would I run when like every woman who's tried has just like failed?
Right, but yes, yes, and there's another different thing. Do you think a woman could get elected?
2028, no.
Okay. Is there
2028, no. I mean, and I go to all these fundraisers, people bring up names and I go, wake me up when you start talking about men.
Mhm.
I worked and this is coming from I did Hillary 2016 Pennsylvania. I, I was there for Harris. I'm just living in reality at this point.
Mhm.
Okay, I've been there. Okay, guys. Message received.
Well, it's so funny. I was on one of my like hardcore Elizabeth Warren loving progressive friends was on my podcast, and I mentioned I think Kamala Harris running again, and she just yelled into the mic. She's like, "No more women," and I was like, "Oh, okay." Like, oh, well, maybe this is a serious thing. And this is kind of the message received. I kind of don't think we're going to pick a woman for a very, 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 very
I mean,
long time.
especially now, because the woman we would have to talk about if we were talking about 2028 is Harris.
Yes, 100%.
Right.
And I
So,
think
and
that
it's
she's
just
not,
like,
yeah. Well, it depends. And I would love your opinion on this as a Democratic strategist. So the way that the primary system works is that the first few states, I mean, they can matter, but they don't always matter. But Super Tuesday always matters, right? And a
Mhm.
lot of the Super Tuesday states are concentrated in the South, and in the Democratic primary in the South, a number of those states are still majority black. Not Florida anymore, but like a number of the other ones are majority black. They do like Kamala Harris still. There is
Yeah.
still a lot of love for Kamala Harris there. Will they stick to Kamala Harris and give her the Joe Biden treatment he received in the primary in 2020, you think?
I think that if Gavin Newsom keeps going down to Carolina like he has been, if folks like Andy Bashir, who's already done the South Carolina trip, I think it's going to split it up a bit. I mean, granted, she is doing her book tour right now, and the focus is the South. Like, those are all Southern cities for a reason. But
Mhm.
also, people are more conscious of losing. It
Right.
sucks to lose.
Of
So
course.
you can want something and love someone and be great to see a black woman as president. It doesn't have to be now in this lifetime, for me at least. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. I'm
Tony,
thinking
can I just
about.
yeah,
You go
can I
ahead.
just say one thing? I've asked pollsters to do this, friends of mine, and they've always refused. I would love to do a Democratic primary poll with a made up name and Pete Buttigieg and see who gets a higher percentage of the black vote.
You want to talk about Pete? You want to talk about a name people raised? I go, I'm not doing it. Please, we can't do this.
I mean, he's just there's no way, right? There's
Yeah.
no like
And people will send me clips, and I'm like, no, guys, it's the part isn't if he's he does great in interviews. He answers the questions. I see him go on Fox News, and he's toe to toe with folks. It is about the electoral college and who will win. That is what it is for me. It is a numbers thing. And if he polls 0% with black people, it is what it is. That's not my fault. That's not your fault. That's something he's going to have to work on. Spoiler alert, hasn't made inroads, hasn't worked on it.
and he's tried
So,
hard. I completely agree. I think that and I don't think that he's that qualified. He was the mayor of a small town, and then he was the transportation secretary, and it wasn't the greatest time for that. There was constant ship backups and other things. So Haley has her hand raised. I want to go to a question. Haley, can you go to
Haley,
Haley for that question first before we go to anything else? Hey, Haley,
Hi guys. You guys
how
are
are you?
doing great.
Oh,
It's
thank
obviously
you.
freezing here in New York, but
Yes, it's cold.
I wanted to comment just on what Michelle Obama was saying because um I really don't think it's the men that have a problem voting for women. I think women have a problem voting for women.
ooh,
I mean, just in my experience, like I think women are a lot more petty. I think like we do look at like I just think like women culture, like I don't think it falls on the men here. And I think that like we're missing out that a lot of women are catty and like to, just in my daily life talk smack about each other behind our backs and things like that. And
Right.
I just
Well, I
like
mean, I'll
always
ask you both a question. Who do women dress for, men or women, most of the time?
it's a good question.
Who
good
do women?
question.
Okay, if you guys watch The Housewives, would it be a good show if they were all best friends? Like, or is it
Absolutely
a
not.
good show because they
No.
fight? Like, I mean, it is human nature that they sit there and do that, but there are certain women that I know who just do not play well with other women. They do
Me
not.
too. I know many women
Guys,
like
do
that.
you know what this means? The more I'm hearing this of women not supporting women, I think the first woman that gets elected president, Republican.
Really?
Same.
I think Republican. Yeah,
Really? Okay.
Yep.
I don't think we have any leading female contenders who would
right. I
even
mean,
be on
not
that.
now, not 2028.
No.
We'll let Vance and Rubio do their thing, but
I
Yeah,
think
there's
in the
that's
gonna
a
future
be, yeah.
I think it's
I would,
definitely going to be a
yeah.
Republican
okay. Well, I mean,
woman.
that's what they said about Nikki Haley, and I always didn't think. And I've met Nailin Haley before. I really like him, but I never thought she was gonna get the job done, no matter what anyone saw or thought they saw on that. But that's a great question, though. Thank you so much, Haley.
Anytime.
All right, let
Haley,
me
two-way legend.
let me go. Yeah, thank you for contributing. Let me go to the next story, which is the CBS in transition. Barry Weiss is reportedly questioning Gayle King's $15 million salary while looking to reset CBS's strategy. We were just talking about that. But at the same time, the network's new evening news anchor, Tom Doak, I don't know pronounce this last name. I'm so sorry, guys. Sorry, Tony. my eyes are starting to fade at this point. Just posted 11% ratings drop in the first week. So CBS is cutting back on legacy stars while so-called new era are already struggling out of the gate. It raises the real question whether this is smart modernization or a messy transition. If CBS pushes Gayle King while the other networks' ratings struggle out of the gate, what does it say about whose performance gets patience and whose gets pressure? That's a good question.
I mean, well, we touched on this a little bit already. Networks cannot pay what they used to pay. The days of the Sean Hannity, Bill O'Reilly salary, the Gayle King. I mean, when Megyn Kelly moved over to NBC, the amount of money they gave her, it just it's just not profitable. So what you have is CBS that is a like a lot of networks, kind of like this, where they're not growing audiences, they're just trying to maintain the people who still watch television and not these streaming services, not things like two-way that still get their news from cable. And CBS is trying to do that quickly. But Barry's in a position where she worked in print media. The Free
Hmm.
Press, New York Times, that's print media. Television's a whole other ball game. And I think her moving Tony from morning TV to evening TV was a bit rushed. I think a lot of the issues that he's coming from is he worked in an ensemble, right? He had
Hmm.
Gayle, which is like, that's a veteran journalist. That's somebody who can help prop you up. And then you go to being behind the big anchor desk. I mean, he didn't even fill in for CBS Evening News. That was Weijia Zhang would fill in usually, the chief White House correspondent. So I think he's also having to figure out the tone and the pacing of evening news. I think people aren't giving him enough grace and time because of who now runs CBS, but it's all it's all put together as like this kind of chaotic material that I don't know how anybody gets out of it without feeling a
Yeah,
bit
and you have
dinged.
to kind of think out of the box in a certain way. And this is not a perfect analogy, but it's like one I'm gonna sit there and try. Like the late night shows, right? Johnny Carson built the model that Jimmy Fallon still does, that everyone still does. They all do the Johnny Carson model of a late night show. And they're all failing at this point because media has changed. Andy Cohen does a different type of late night show. Granted, it is a certain type of audience, but it's got good ratings, good solid ratings because it's
Mm-hmm.
different and it's interesting. And maybe something with the news has to happen like that. Not like you don't do shots, but I'm saying it's like you
Yeah,
have to think outside the box of how you approach evening news. Maybe make it more interactive. Maybe sit there and take questions and you respond to certain kinds of questions. Um, I wonder why that kind of approach hasn't been thought. Barry Weiss is not going to solve CBS's problems by just being, I don't know, a pro-Israel head of the network. I don't know, like, what is like the thing that's so
yeah.
special about Barry? I don't dislike her. I just have never understood the hype.
Yeah, and she's coming into a media landscape where there's other executives at all these other networks that are looking at her like, you think you're going to figure out how to save this sinking ship that is television news?
Hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
have at it. So I think people are really enjoying because she did come in really strong. And let's not forget, within the first couple of days of her coming in, she was texting anchors at other networks saying, "I'd like to talk to you about a contract." Excuse me, Brett Baird doesn't just pick up and leave special report. That's not how the
Right.
world works. So she came in and presented a naivete that it's really hard for people to take you seriously.
No, 100%. I totally agree with that. And I think that I mean, she should probably bring in some internet people into the room and say,
Yep.
how do we make this more interactive, make this different? I really want to hear about your opinion about the next story, though, not to harp on Barry, unless you have other opinions about Barry, but I don't. I just kind of
No.
like that yeah. So it's Josh Shapiro's book. Governor Josh Shapiro of Pennsylvania has a new book. If you want to put the picture of the book cover up, the book comes as called Where We Keep the Light. It's dropping January 27th, and he does not hold back on Kamala Harris's VP vetting process. Shapiro says that the team asked him if he had been a quote agent of the Israeli government, end quote. The question reportedly came from the former White House counsel Dana
Dana
Ramus.
Remus, yeah.
Sorry, Dana Ramus. I'm terrible pronunciation, guys. I'm so sorry.
I
It's
mean, it looks like Remus on paper, but it's the Remus, yeah.
okay.
Only know because I worked with her.
I'm an equal opportune offender of bad pronunciations. Shapiro, one of the most prominent Jewish elected officials in the country and potential 2028 contender, says he was stunned and offended by this. Um, First question, do you believe him?
will say when I read that, knowing Dana Remus and the way that she operates, I thought this is a bit of a clunky question. I wonder if there was a different question asked, and what he felt like was that
Mhm.
was the underlying question.
Yeah, this is not normal. I don't,
Yeah, that's
I,
an out of pocket question.
yeah, I don't, I mean, it harkens back to accusations of JFK being a secret agent of the Vatican almost. Like it's such a weird thing that you would believe. And I mean, Josh Shapiro is very pro-Israel for being in the Democratic Party, but he's not the biggest Zionist even in the country as far as a political figure goes. He doesn't hold a foreign policy position. He's a governor, not a
Mm-hmm.
senator. Like he doesn't hold a position that deals with foreign policy. So I just thought that was extremely strange, and I kind of don't necessarily believe him.
And here's the thing: it tries to paint Harris as someone who is not anti-Semitic, but a little iffy, and that's interesting because anyone on the progressive far left would tell you that he's not like she works for APAC, that she didn't care
Hmm.
about what happened to what was happening in Gaza. So it's like two competing narratives. It's like, okay, which one does where does she fall on it? Because from what I'm seeing, she still has protesters interrupting her book tour, screaming about Israel and Palestine. So,
Yeah, and her take of what happened with the interview, and it's kind of now like a very well-known interview process with her, was that he was kind of like, well, I'll be your co-president. She felt that he had come out of the gate saying, I'm going to be equal to you, and it'll be like, a tag team of like equals. And she was like, this is not going to how this is going to work. And they just did not mesh well at all versus Tim Walz, who is very much like, I want to make sure you win and that your presidency succeeds, and was very complimentary to her. And that's how she saw it, I guess. And that's why she picked him. I do think that there was, this sounds so stupid the way I said it, but I was going to say there was definitely a Jewish question, but there was definitely a question, I think, of Judaism that is there. Listen, I know of a certain person who's running for office who did not pick running mates because they were questioning about their religious orientation and their divorce records. I mean, people still hold on to very old-fashioned opinions about certain things and who can win and who can't win. But I think that that is I don't know. Do you think that Judaism stuff was the reason he didn't get picked?
I think it was more of a personality match. Look, if Ilhan Omar was running in this position, I'd tell you, I think it was the Judaism thing. Harris, no, I don't see that like whatsoever, especially with like Doug Emhoff,
Yeah, her husband's Jewish. That's a great
right?
and her stepchildren are Jewish.
Yeah,
So that would I think they're Jewish, but that would make that yeah, her husband
culturally,
is
yeah.
Jewish. That's did you ever meet her, Kamala Harris?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. And she doesn't, I
Hmm.
don't seem that she doesn't seem like that. Although, also, I think Josh Shapiro is fairly short, and so is she. So maybe that could have been, I think that that would have also been a thing of like, it was just a short person ticket as well. I don't know.
Hmm.
Maybe so, maybe not. But I think that that is,
I mean, image
I,
like yeah, let's not downplay image. I mean, JB Pritzker's on a GLP.
Jamie
Image,
Pritzker is
image
going to have
does
to be
matter.
rolled to the debate stage. I mean, just because you have $200 billion, I mean, you should use it to eat the entire time. I mean, I get it, and it's so much about running. This is what people don't understand. So much about running for president is just timing. Like, it's
Hmm.
not like it is. You could be the best person in the world if you're a phenomenal Democrat governor, but you peak in 1994. You're never going to run for president because Bill Clinton's the president and Al Gore's going to be the president, and like you just
Hmm.
Chris Christie had one shot to run for president ever, and he probably would have lost, but it was 2012. Like that was it. That was the entire window, and it's shut and it's over. And Nikki Haley had one shot. I think Ron DeSantis, I tell everyone, I think unless Trump would have picked him as his VP, he only had one shot to run, and it's over now. Like it's done. It's not going to happen again for him. Um, and so many people, if JD wins, right, 2028, right, every person right now who they're saying is a possible contender to run on the Republican side will never run. Like they will never be serious because the next new shiny penny is not even
Hmm.
in office yet. And I think people don't understand that so much. So Josh Shapiro knows it's not like he can run again in 2032 if Gavin Newsom falls. Like this is it. This is the
Yep.
show. and he's got to score big in 2026 in his midterm in his governor's race, and he's got to perform very, very well and enough to sit there and win over support among Democrats. Can I ask you one other quick question? I'm just fascinated. Is there worry among Democrat consultants that he, as a Jewish Pennsylvanian, will not appeal to black voters in the South?
There is less worry for him on that. People are less worried about him.
Hmm. I
I haven't heard
want
as many people.
I want to know when he started mimicking Obama's vocal speaking ability. If one person has the video of Shapiro from 2006 or before, I would love to hear how he actually talks because he does not sound like a black pastor from the Deep South.
Can I say I loved your point about, you know, you've only got one shot. I almost want to start doing Hamilton. Do not miss your chance. This opportunity comes once in a lifetime. Or no, that's Eminem, not Hamilton. My bad. Okay, but that is the map for so many governors right now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's Wes Moore. He's running for re-election, but we'll see what he does. JB Pritzker, Andy Bashir. I thought Gretchen Whitmer, but other people think Gretchen Whitmer, but like I also think she's like missed that moment with the folder over her face kind of thing. But yeah,
The
there's like
weirdest thing in the world.
so there are a lot of people who are leading the Democratic Party right now where like this moment 2028 is it for them, and then after that they're out of their state elected office, they're out of any kind of zeitgeist on like how they can fill in the gaps nationally, and you have to, and then there's a new crop, so this
There's a
is
new
it.
shiny
This
penny
is the
always.
class. Yeah.
And the old idea of politics, and this was partially like Meghan McCain's father, we don't do, oh, they've been in office for 30 years, it's their turn to run. Bob Dole, John McCain,
Mhm.
Ronald Reagan ran 3 times and lost. Like
Yeah.
that doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
Like Hillary Clinton, I think was the last. Oh, I guess Joe Biden, but Joe
But
Biden,
like, but Joe
like
Biden felt like he was robbed for the 2016 because that was his
right,
time. And it's
right.
like, and I'm glad now where any Dem who wants to run, no ownership and believing that it is your time or it is your pedestal. No, everybody
But
get in the mud pit.
But maybe that's part of the reason Democrats have struggled is because they still have, to a certain degree, done the it's their turn. Hillary
Yep.
got that, and Joe Biden got that to a certain degree, although I think Joe Biden really was their best option. I don't think anyone would have won besides Joe Biden in
Yep.
2020. I really don't. I just think, I mean,
Yeah.
Michael Bloomberg, I mean, come on. Although Michael
Ryan, can I say
Bloomberg,
this as a Biden truther from day one? When he was losing Iowa, when he was losing New Hampshire, I said, wait for South Carolina.
really?
Yeah, I said, okay, I'll wait on Jim Clyburn and South Carolina, and then we can have a conversation about where the party is.
I think that Michael Bloomberg's debate with Elizabeth Warren was some of the best television ever created. When she said, "You call broads horse-faced lesbians," I said that should be my ringtone. Like that was truly in that old Massachusetts drawl. By the way, I don't know why I walk into the kitchen half the days that I do, but I remember Elizabeth Warren's debate lines with Michael Bloomberg from 2020 because that's what a normal person does.
Talk about
Uh,
somebody who missed their opportunity. I think
Elizabeth
it's done.
Warren.
Yeah, I do. I think it's done.
Yeah, I think so too. I think, and she's also the worst performing Democrat in Massachusetts. She's actually if she was in any other state, she would have likely lost. So I wanted to bring up something before we go into another pop culture story. I want to bring up something that I'm doing that's very exciting. So I started a nonprofit last year called the 1776 Foundation, complementary to my super PAC, the 1776 Project PAC, that up with school board elections. We do education policy, and we are announcing we are doing a lawsuit against Los Angeles Unified School District. We just dropped it yesterday. We are suing them for racial discrimination against white and Middle Eastern students. LA Unified has a rule that if a school is 30% white or greater, they lose fund access to funding, their classroom sizes go up, they are less like any student who goes there, not just the white students, are less likely to get into magnet schools. It affects 10% of the school districts. It's openly discriminatory, and we are suing against it in federal court. So I just wanted to sit there and just give a shout out to what I'm doing, just because I don't know if you have any thoughts or opinions. I just wanted to give a shout out to something that I'm doing on this that I think is very exciting, and it's been making some news. It was in the New York Times and the Washington Post today, so I'm excited about that. Okay, let's go to the topic of I don't know if you're how online you are. Have you watched the Victoria Beckham memes against Brooklyn Beckham?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
They are hilarious.
Yes.
Truly great. So Brooklyn Beckham just dropped a six-slide Instagram statement basically airing out his entire family, out his entire family. He says he felt controlled by his parents most of his life, struggled with anxiety, claims that he's stepping away from the family has finally brought him peace. He's also defended his wife Nicola Peltz, and detailed that there was multiple wedding day disasters involving his mom Victoria Beckham. Brooklyn claims Victoria called him evil for choosing to seat Nicola's grandmother and his longtime nanny at the head table, saying both sides' parents already had equally close tables. He says Victoria was supposed to design Nicola's wedding dress, then pulled out at the last minute, forcing Nicola to scramble for a replacement. Brooklyn's alleges that during what was supposed to be his first romantic dance with Nicola, Mark Anthony brought him on stage and Victoria was waiting there instead, and he says she danced with him inappropriately in front of 500 guests and felt humiliated. Okay.
Where
This
is the video?
I know.
Where is the
I
video?
know because it's so hysterical, just like the images of it all. First of all, Brooklyn Beckham, obviously the child of David Beckham and Posh Spice Victoria Beckham, a huge fashion designer, child of immense wealth and privilege, marries Nicola Peltz, who's a billionaire's daughter, who's even wealthier than he is. Um, I think that first of all, did you see that I think it was her hair person came out against her and says that she's a toxic personality? Nicola's stylist was like, or a hairstylist or whatever. So she doesn't seem like she's not. I've seen many pictures and videos. She's not one of God's smilers.
Yeah. I don't know if a daughter of a billionaire is ever going to be the warmest, friendliest, most open person. I read an article that Anwar Hadid,
Hmm.
Gigi and Bella Hadid's little brother, dated her for a time, and that Yolanda felt a strain as a mother to Anwar and felt disconnected from him. Now, I don't know if we're doing the Justin Baldoni, Blake Lively, we're planting stories here or there because I go with the wind. I'll read a story and I'll go, oh my gosh, yeah, she's toxic. But then I read the stuff about boy mom Victoria Beckham and I go, well, I wouldn't want to date that. I wouldn't want to date a guy with that kind of relationship with his mother.
Well, also,
So
can I just say Victoria's English though? They're not Italian. It's not like they move in with their kids when they get
mhm.
married. English are very, and Victoria has never smiled or eaten in her life. Like, what are like
They're both
she's
kind of alike.
she's like exactly. He married his mom. That's such a good point. He married his mom. No, I think that she doesn't seem like an overly emotional, clingy person at all. And it's funny how all of her kids though are also taking her side over his and saying, no, my parents are toxic. I mean, what does Brooklyn Beckham do? Like he's an adult. Him and Nicole are adults. Do they have any kind of job? Do they do anything? Because there is like an industry of like, I'm a wealthy child of immense privilege. Let me talk about how bad my parents are in certain aspects.
Mhm.
Do
Well,
you?
so she's an actress. She's been in stuff, sprinkled stuff. But like, listen, she doesn't have to work to eat. So I
Okay.
mean, her
Yeah.
consistency doesn't have to be there. He did photography for a little bit. Remember the photo book? He took blurry pictures of
This is called a
animals out in
hobby.
Africa. Okay,
This is called a hobby.
I'm trying.
Okay.
I'm trying to get. I'm trying. Do they have 9 to 5s? No, they do not. They
Okay,
do
no,
not.
they
They
sit
do not.
around and contemplate how isolated they feel and judged by the world. And by the way, we would never
Mhm.
know who Brooklyn Beckham was. His parents are immensely talented. Very
Mhm.
rarely does talent go from one generation to the next. Like,
Mm-mm.
there are only so many Liza Minnellis in this world. Like, there's not
Yeah.
a lot of people who are immensely talented. I think right now, like, I think I might get the story incorrect because I'm not a sports person, but I think LeBron James like was pushing his team
Brawny.
hires to hire his son on the
Yeah.
team because he was not playing. Like, he was like, no,
Yeah.
you have to bring my kid on, but they don't seem like they are of he's not his father's talent. His
He's
father's
not. He's
talented.
actually in the G League right now. Yeah, he's not. He's like practice team material. I would say when I think of good nepo, I think like Maya Hawke, Uma Thurman, Ethan Hawke's daughter. She's in Stranger Things and she's like
Okay.
done movies. Very, very good
There's
actress.
a few of them that are
Yeah.
extremely talented. you know what's really funny? Writers almost never have children who are good writers. William F. Buckley, Christopher Buckley's actually a better writer than his dad was, but very rarely do you see writers also giving. There's that woman from MSNBC who's mentally unhinged, who wrote a hit piece book about her mom and how her mom was toxic. I forget. Molly Jung Fast. She's like, her mother was
Oh,
actually a fair. What? You like her?
no, I that makes sense.
Yes.
Like, yeah, that makes sense. I didn't know that about her. That
Her
answers a lot.
mother was an immensely talented writer and feminist icon, and she is the child of that. And she's just not her mother, and she's only there because of her mother. And just, I find that with writers more than anything else. But yeah, I just think that for this case, I mean, it's hysterical. I want to see the dance tape. I will watch it and enjoy it. I have loved the memes of like what their, dance was like. But at a certain point, like I have been to weddings where everything possible has gone wrong. Cake falls, bride, cries. I went to a wedding one time where the bride walked down the aisle and she felt it was the wrong note of the song, and she walked back up the aisle and made everyone do it again. I have seen it. I have done it. And everyone moves past it because it's just one day of your whole entire marriage and your whole entire life. Like, am I wrong?
No, I also think, look, wedding day super emotionally charged, and a lot of the conflict seems to stem from various things that happened on the wedding day. And then she was in tears and ran out and had to be consoled by different people. There's a lot that they're saying that happened publicly, and I'm wondering, where is the video? The dance is something, if that happened, how is TMZ? TMZ is slacking in 2026, because the second that comes out, then
If Barry
okay.
Weiss finds this tape, CBS News numbers through the roof. But 500 guests, and every wedding, everyone records the first
Yeah,
dance.
not. I'm
Mark
like,
Anthony is
were
singing,
phones
and you're
taken?
just,
Yeah,
yeah. I don't, I kind of think that either they're all, and also from Nicola's camp, someone would have leaked it because they have, no one, I guess no one either had their phone or they're just lying about it. Okay.
you're right, because it plays in her favor. So the fact that I don't see a video, suspicious to me.
Exactly. Okay, last story before we wrap up. An unlikely bromance has arrived between President Trump and New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani. Following their chummy meeting in November, Mamdani and Trump have been exchanging friendly, massive missives, texts twice a week. The new mayor and president have a semi-regular chatting via text, discussing a wide range of topics from Nicola Maduro to zoning red tape laws in New York City to real estate. Mamdani was on The View Tuesday and spoke about their relationship. Play clip 13.
Intention is about being honest and direct with the president. Yeah. And I think there are many disagreements the two of us have. There's no shortage of them. One thing that we do have in common is that we both love New York City. We're both New Yorkers. Yeah. And so for that entire meeting, I made the case about this city and what it can look like for this city, if it's a place that New Yorkers can afford or if it's a place that they're pushed out of. And every single policy that the federal administration puts forward, it has impacts on this city.
Do you think he cares really about New York City? And do you have an award for him?
I don't have an award. Don't have an award. What I will say, though, is that I'm going to exhaust every possibility. I mean, when New Yorkers elect a mayor, they're looking for someone who's going to turn over every leaf to see what is something they can do for the city. That's what I'm going to do.
I see.
He wouldn't say whether or not he loved the city. That is very, very interesting. Okay, do you have any feelings about this? And do you think that they are texting emojis and memes to each other?
I think they're texting. I think Trump is probably texting Mamdani video clips that he thinks are really good. He's like, "Oh, look, I really hard on this. I'm talking about affordability. It's the same. It's the same thing we both talk about." Trump's that kind of person where if he sees that somebody is popular, he's like, all right, this is this. I'm in this with you too. I think I almost think what a power move to have Mamdani come to the Oval Office, and everybody, all the commentators before said this is going to be a matchup. It's going to be a showdown. Caroline Levitt had been on the podium that same day and had said that it was going to be a head-to-head thing. And I think Trump kind of pulls a power card by just being like, "Yeah, I like this guy."
I wonder if Mamdani sat there and said to him, "I defeated a legacy like you did." I wonder, because that would have really, because Trump would have been extremely excited about that.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a hand up from Emily, and I know we have to go right after. So Emily, why don't we go to Emily really quickly?
Oh,
Hey, Emily.
hey, can you hear me?
I can.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys are hilarious. I love both of you.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
You hear that, Megan?
I do. Not that we don't love Megan and Miranda. So can we go back a little bit and talk about Andy Bashir?
Yeah.
Can we do that?
Love talking
Okay.
about Andy Bashir.
Okay. I live in Lexington, Kentucky, so I am in deep Andy land, as I like to call it. And I've heard you mention him before. I think he is the underdog that people are underestimating. I know I've talked to Mark about this before. He thinks I'm crazy, but I think he is one to watch.
Okay. What's your take on this? Because
I'm going to tell you, I talked about Andy Bashir as I was walking from Howard University the day that Kamala Harris conceded. I said, okay, next person. And I said, Andy Bashir.
Yes, Daddy Andy, as we like to call him.
Straight white male who runs really high.
Daddy Andy. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
No Riz. You know what? He's got Riz, and he can build on that personality. That is fine. I'm all in the Andy. I'm in Bashir camp for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Bashir baddies. Baddies for Bashir.
Bashir baddies. I love it. I love it. I am. I will not forget that.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much for that, Emily. Where
Ryan said unsubscribe.
I did not expect it to go there. Yemisi, where can people go to follow you on social media?
TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. And all those places. Yeah.
Okay.
All those places.
You can follow me at Twitter on Ryan Girdusky. I very rarely post on Instagram. I will try to post this because this was so much fun. And you can check out my podcast, The Numbers Game, on iHeartRadio and Apple and YouTube or wherever. Thank you guys so much. We're going to wrap it up here. I had so much fun with you. This was so great. And Megan, I hope you're enjoying everything. And Miranda, I hope everything is okay today.